Welcome back to Tennessee Frugal Craftsman. We are making beautiful deck boards here out of rough white oak. So I think I did an earlier video something similar to this, but I wanted to follow up. I'm doing the back deck and I wanted to show you kind of the tools that I use for this process. So I have my little chop saw set up, of course my table saw. I have an 8-foot level, a belt sander, I have a planer, and I have a handheld router. What I'm starting with, of course, also my planer over here. You can see this has got a sweep in it down there. I'm going to see about making a straight piece of finished wood out of this. So can we get it to something like that? Now you'll notice on this particular one here, there's two pieces. That's because that was a really crooked piece. It had a huge bow in it. So instead of trying to pull a bow out of it on the deck, what I do is I cut it in half, straighten everything, each half, and that way I can use them for end pieces as I'm working and decking in the main deck. So, because you always use pieces. That doesn't happen that often. Right there I've got 4 straight pieces and then 2 short pieces. So those 2 short pieces will actually finish out what those 2 of those long pieces won't. So I need, like I said, those short pieces here and there. So let's start. First thing we're going to do is we're going to run this through the planer. Okay, we've got a nice planed surface on both sides. Look down that. My next step is to straighten it. So I'll bring you along for that. Okay, so the chalk line made it straight. Now I've got to run it through the table saw. Okay, I've got that nice and straight now. Now the next step is to cut it, square one edge. Now because there's a knot right here, I'm going to square this far end so that way if I need to I can cut that off and use both pieces. Alright, now we're ready to straighten the edges, or to, I should say, smooth up the edges. And now we're going to router it. Alright, I made 2 passes over that. And now what we have is a nice straight deck board. Now you'll notice on this side it does have a knot, but that's going to be down. And like I said, this here has a crack in it, so I could always cut it here and use that end, and then take, if I needed a short, like a 2-foot strip or 18-inch strip, I could take it off of this. Ideally, I don't want to put that in the middle of the deck because that's a big crack knot, but I keep it together for the purpose of finishing, because that's my next process, is I got to put a finish on these before I put them down. I'll be back for that. Okay, here we are in my staining area down here in the basement of the house. As you can see, I've got shorter pieces leaning up against the wall, and longer pieces I have laying here drying. I did these last night. I've got enough right now, I think, pretty much to do most of those 2 decks. These are the ones I just brought down. So there's 6 pieces there. And then these are the ones that I am stacking. Ones that have been done for 3 days. So those are ready to go on that first deck. Temperature down in here, I don't know whether you can see this, it's running right around, if I can see it here. Oh, there we go. About 55 to 58 degrees. For that stain, I'm using Cabot stain. It requires 50 degrees for 48 hours. And so that's why I'm down here in the basement. I can always crank up the stove, which is part of another video. But you can kind of see what we have here. I will finish out the video with staining this material, show you how I do that, and kind of the process. I don't let anything go to waste. All of my offcuts come down in here and are used for kindling. These are the decks they're going on. 1, 2. That straightening process actually works very well. Those deck boards have been drying for over a year. So when you straighten them, there's not a lot of movement after you take out the crooks and whatnot, because they've pretty much acclimated. And of course, here's what they look like when they're down. So they're roughly a 5-inch wide, maybe 4 15/16. And you can look down them and they get a really nice straight edge because I've straightened them out. So I will bring you along for a little bit of the staining in a bit, but some people may, question why I'd go to that much bother. For one piece, you're probably looking at 15 minutes or so to get it completely done. If I'm not filming, I can do a stick maybe in 15 minutes, so 4 an hour, which is a lot of time investment, and there's no question. But to actually buy white oak deck boards, I can't imagine what that would be per foot. And I've got a lot of white oak here that I've used on my decks. That's all the framing is white oak as well. Posts and everything, 6x6. I was talking to my wife the other night and I said it would probably be in the thousands. Maybe some of you can add in the comments. I'm not exactly sure what the price of white oak is going per foot, but I know just to buy oak, which a lot of this, fairly good quality. I try to get as many of the knots out as possible. A lot of that oak, you go in to buy it at one of the box stores and you're probably looking at $4 a foot plus, easily, a running length on 1x6. And so that's pretty much what I'm starting with here, is a 5.5, 6-inch piece to get the 5-inch pieces out of it. And I always say, if you're going to do this with your own wood, give yourself an inch or so an extra width to get the straight piece out of it. Don't skimp on it. In other words, I knew I was going to be doing roughly 5-inch pieces, so I went up to a 6-inch rough cut wide. So I knew that would give me an inch to take out any sweeps or anything out of it. So go ahead and do that. If you're thinking on going in that direction, make sure that you give yourself some extra material on that. So I'm going to take back at it, and we will finish this video a little bit when we do some staining. Okay, I've got that done. Don't want to stay down here and breathe that too much. Step here in the doorway. I think I've got enough now to do everything. It's pretty close. I'll start doing the eave work tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get some of that done. But I appreciate you joining me today. If you would, please like and subscribe. As I say, there's a long ways to go, so stick with me. We'll get this thing done someday. But I appreciate you joining me for the ride, and continue to watch. Look for more videos. They should be coming at you a little faster over the break. But until next time, as always, you have a great day.